John Bates is the first character we see in the opening scene of episode 1.
The way into this house was this mysterious character who is on his way to this grand house on a steam train.
Hello? I'm John Bates, the new valet.
The new valet?
That's right.
John Bates is a military man. He is from an Irish-Scottish background. He was injured in the Boer War, fighting alongside Lord Grantham. He was taken on as an employee of the house, largely out of a sense of duty from Lord Grantham.
What happened? Oh, it's only the old wound. A bit of shrapnel got left in or something and it moved, but it's fine. It's not a problem.
And you'd let me know if you felt it was all too much for you?
I would.
And when he joined the staff of Downton Abbey, it became quickly apparent that he wasn't quite up to what was required.
Mr. Bates, could you hand me that tray? I'll do it.
And in the first episode, Bates very nearly leaves because he's not fit for purpose.
The plain fact is, Mr. Bates, through no fault of his own, is not able to fulfill the extra duties expected of him.
Bates knew that inevitably that would mean the workhouse for a lame man, at that age. And this was his last chance.
I am very eager to stay, my lord. Very eager indeed.
I mean to help until you find something.
I couldn't take your money, my lord. I can take wages for a job done, that's all.
Without pleading or without begging or without reams of dialogue, we can convey a lot.
Very good, my lord.
Lord Grantham saved his life by the simple act of employing him.
Wait! Get out, Bates. Get back inside, and we'll say no more about it. Please, sit, everyone. I just want to say a quick hello to my old comrade in arms. Bates, my dear man, welcome to Downton.
Thank you, sir.
I'm so sorry to have disturbed you all. Please forgive me.
You never asked.
The staff didn't take particularly well to him.
Bates, you all right?
Perfectly, my lord.
There was confrontation, there was rivalry.
I can't believe I've been passed over for Long John Silver.
There was a great dynamic between Bates and Thomas. I remember series 1 and 2, every time we looked at each other, it was like we were sucking bitter lemons or something. They really hated each other.
Now you listen, you filthy little rat. If you don't lay off, I will punch your shining teeth through the back of your skull.
Is this supposed to frighten me, Mr. Bates? Because if it is, it isn't working.
He was kind of conniving and hiding stuff, creating false crimes in order to get rid of this man.
I hope they find that snuff box. What happens if they don't?
They'll organise a search, won't they? I wouldn't be Mr. Bates, not for all the tea in China.
I think Bates' contention with Thomas is because of his behaviour.
She only tried to give me orders.
You mean she mistook you for a servant?
But he is a servant.
Don't tell him that. He'll never get over this shock.
How are you settling in?
Very well, I think. Unless your lordship feels differently.
Bates is Lord Grantham's valet. He's there to serve as his requirements in whatever way is necessary.
I nearly put out the new dinner jacket, my lord, but then Mr. Carson said the Dowager was dining here.
Quite right. Mustn't frighten the horses.
Bates, especially in the first 3 series, confesses and opens up more to Lord Grantham than he does to anybody else.
Is something wrong between you?
Yes. But I don't know what it is. She says it's nothing I've done, but how can I believe that? Must be my fault because she is incapable of fault. I don't know what to do.
The damage cannot be irreparable when a man and a woman love each other as much as you do. My goodness, that was strong talk for an Englishman.
For some reason, they could say things to each other in a very contained, very British, very stiff upper lip way. They could convey so much to each other.
Will you come back with me and help me through the veil of shadow?
It's not what I expected, my lord, but I will, if you want me to.
I misjudged you, Bates, and I abused you when we parted. I should have had more faith. I'm sorry.
God knows you've shown more faith in me than I had any right to. Alone at last?
Despite his unpopularity amongst the downstairs staff, Bates's arrival was welcomed by lady's maid Anna May Smith.
When he's first introduced to, there's just one moment where Bates walks past Anna and they just look at each other and she just smiles at him. And it's not a smile of pity, it's a smile of two humans who just connect very gently.
When Mr. Bates is told that he's going to leave, Anna takes him a tray up to his room. He's obviously quite upset.
Mr. Bates? Are you there?
They don't even know each other. I don't think they've even had a conversation. There's a dynamic in those early scenes, if you look at them, for me, which I love.
I'm ever so sorry you're going.
I'll be all right.
Tell us when you're fixed. Just drop us a line. Else I'll worry.
Well, we can't have that.
And I thought that was so touching, the way it was written, and we both really enjoyed doing that scene. That was one of our first kind of big scenes together.
Sad to think about.
It's always sad. You love someone who doesn't love you back, no matter who you are.
He doesn't think he's worthy of love. He certainly doesn't think this beautiful young woman is going to be a potential partner.
Nice girl, that Anna. Do you know if she's got anyone special in her life?
I'm afraid there is someone, yes.
Do you think he's keen on her, or is it worth a go?
Well, he keeps himself to himself, and he's very hard to read at times, but I'd say he's keen. I'd say he's very keen indeed.
That very tender and protracted development between friendship to intimacy to love, it was so delicately done.
I love you, Mr. Bates. I know it's not ladylike to say it, but I'm not a lady and I don't pretend to be.
You are a lady to me, and I never knew a finer one.
Look at Anna. She never said she could reel. Bates, did you know?
No, my lady, I never knew.
But isn't she marvellous?
Yes. She is marvellous.
Everything is rosy in the garden for Bates and Anna until the arrival of his first wife.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Vera. I was up in the attics sorting out some cupboards.
Don't worry. I've been having a nice time here with Ethel and Miss Smith.
She has this hold over Bates, and which we see in the scene where she successfully persuades him to leave the house.
You see, if you don't come back to me, I'm going to the newspapers with a cracking story, and I'd like to bet the Granthams won't survive it. A diplomat dying in the bed of an earl's unmarried daughter, well, that takes a ticket for the tale of the year.
It's a pack of lies.
I assume that's loyalty and not ignorance. Because, you see, I heard that Lady Mary needed her maid to help her carry him, and yes, you've guessed it. Your precious Anna's going to figure in the story, too. Not to worry too much. It's not a criminal offence, is it? Just a social one.
She's throwing a spanner in the works for them, which is exactly her intention.
What do you want from me?
Firstly, hand in your notice. Tonight. I'll put up at the pub in the village.
And what reason do I give?
You don't need a reason.
He comes back with a scratched face and having had a terrible time.
What was that about?
His wife's dead.
Things obviously are not looking rosy for Mr. Bates as such in terms of the police after Vera's died. Anna just decides that, you know, we are going to be married.
With this ring, I plight thee my troth.
With this ring, I plight thee my troth.
It was a registry service, you know, it wasn't a big old white wedding.
And it was a magical moment. They've overcome all these obstacles and they've got married. It's a very beautiful moment. And we think that's it for them.
Well, Mrs. Bates, you've had your way with me.
John Bates,
Yes.
you are under arrest on the charge of willful murder.
I love you.
And I love you. For richer, for poorer, for better, for worse.
Come along, sir.
Bates was a sergeant in the Boer War. He was a trained killer.
Don't ever threaten me. I forgot I was sharing a cell with a murderer. Don't forget it again.
Mr. Bates has the most amount of baggage of anybody in the world, I think, possibly.
Do you never doubt? For just 1 minute? I wouldn't blame you.
No. I don't doubt that the sun will rise in the east either.
She's a real trooper to stick by him, but that's because they're so in love, you know.
I'm ever so sorry to interrupt, my lord, but Mrs. Bartlett has given a statement that'll clear him. At least, Mr. Murray says it will make the verdict unsafe. So Mr. Bates is coming back to Downton.
Welcome back, Mr. Bates. I have waited a long time to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Cousin.
After his exoneration, Mr. Bates was finally given a glimpse of happiness with his new wife.
Beer? That's very racy of you.
I am racy.
What shall we drink to?
The future.
Until the arrival of Lord Gillingham's valet, Mr. Green.
You look to me like you could use a bit of real fun for once. Is that what you want?
What I want is to go back upstairs.
You're not telling me that sad old cripple keeps you happy?
If you must know, yes. He keeps me very happy. Now let me by, please.
Perhaps you've forgotten what you're missing.
I knew something wasn't right, but I didn't know what happened.
What's the matter?
Nothing. I just feel like walking on my own, that's all.
That was a really interesting period of time because we didn't know how much Bates knew, and based on how much he did know, what would he do? And those scenes with Anna, he's not at his best. Come here.
Better get on.
Kiss me, please. Or tell me what's happened, one or the other.
Don't bully me.
Anna, you were upset. You were unhappy, and I don't know why. You say it's not me. Well, I hope that's true, but there is a reason, and I need to find out what it is.
It was really, really interesting to play.
I know. I know what happened. Mrs. Hughes told me I forced her to.
Then she was very wrong. It wasn't her secret to tell.
I gave her no choice, Anna. She said a man broke in and was waiting down here for you, a stranger?
That's right.
Because if it was the valets, he is a dead man.
We knew Bates had this darkness within him. We knew if he was aware of the whole facts, anything was possible. Would Bates have killed this man? Yes, he would.
Green? But how can he be dead?
I'm only telling you what they told me. That he was in Piccadilly and he slipped or stumbled, fell into the road.
I don't know what to say.
When he was killed, this man, Bates, of course, was the prime suspect.
I bought a return ticket to London. I planned to get there and back in the same day. I went onto the platform, but I never got onto the train.
Why not?
Because I knew if I saw him, I would have killed him. And if I killed him, I would hang. I couldn't do that to you.
Thank God.
The next day when I heard what happened, it was like the hand of fate.
I'm really into introducing a little bit of darkness, a little bit of threat, a bit of danger. I think it was a brilliant storyline. And Jo, she's such an extraordinary actor.
Mad as it sounds, I am so happy.
Happy Christmas.
The whole green nightmare is gone, thank God. And then everything becomes quite pedestrian for the Bates, quite frankly, for most of Series 6.
You're not.
Too early to tell.
Lord knows the problem isn't Bates.
Honestly, my lady, if I repeated some of the things you say downstairs...
Should you be working? I can manage, and there's always Baxter.
And it ends with us having our dream ending.
Are you really happy?
I'm happier than I've ever been. Happy, impatient, excited.
Don't say too much. It frightens me. We've still got months.
Nothing will go wrong.
They become parents. They become very, very happy.
I am a father, and I have a son.
We have a son, John.
And yeah, it was magical, magical.